Good morning. My talk today is titled, May All Your Weeds Be Wildflowers. Being from Alaska and married to a commercial fisherman that was gone half the time meant when there was a problem, I had to fix it. I learned how to repair the furnace, how to change the car battery, spray paint the house, put the tire chains on, and call the right people for help. One thing I did not know how to fix was myself. I've shared before how I lived in survival mode. It was through being led to Science of Mind when the realization came that other levels existed. Then it became clear that I needed to let go of my pride of survival, enabling me to move up a level to thriving. At the height of my drinking, I grabbed an old book off the shelf and read essays by Emerson. Interesting how that book came to me. It was part of a set of the complete works of Shakespeare, Dickens, Kipling, 15 volumes total. They came with a house we bought in Kodiak. When being transported to Washington, some of them fell off the boat and into the water. Somehow the one I would need in the future to save my life was intact. Many of us have had inspirational books delivered, and we say it just jumped off the shelf. Source brought this book to my attention exactly when I needed it. I believe Emerson's writings saved my life. To him, the world about us is the visible appearance of what is invisible. Things in time are symbols of the essence of eternity, the life, the vitality. The soul in us is the life and soul of the universe. I felt at home with these essays. I knew somehow I was going to be okay. Emerson shared that God enters by a private door into every individual. Long prior to the age of reflection is the thinking of the mind. Out of darkness it came insensibly into the marvelous light of the day. Many years later, I found Science of Mind, and the two concepts were in alignment. In the essay Intellect, he shares, all our progress is unfolding like the vegetable bud. You first have an instinct, then an opinion, then a knowledge. As the plant has root, bud, and fruit. Trust the instinct to the end, though you can render no reason. It is vain to hurry it. By trusting it to the end, it shall ripen into truth, and you shall know why you believe. For most of my life, I had questioned, what is the truth? Attempting to find the truth in everyday life was a constant struggle. My marriage was not good. I was unhappy and lost. The struggle didn't leave much time or energy to find a new path. Both Emerson and Holmes address truth. Through their writings, the difference between truth with a little t and truth with a capital T has become clear, at least from the perspective of the source. Through this center, Reverend Donna, taking classes, Sunday services, I eventually accepted. Divine essence or God is the source of all capital T truth. I could stop struggling to discover where to turn for answers. Beginning to trust the Spirit's guidance, my life became more in the flow. Abstractions to happiness fell away gradually, meaning the intangible barriers like fears, doubts, or limited beliefs that block or complicate experiencing happiness. When those abstractions gradually over time fell away, those intangible obstacles faded. Bit by bit, whatever was blocking happiness, whether old worries or unclear fears, just dissolved, leaving space for clearer, more direct experiences of happiness. Some of us are more stubborn than others. In my early sobriety, thank goodness, I figured it out that I could take that stubbornness and use it for my good. When Emerson says we may not know the reason but trust the instinct and decide to stop fighting, though that may have been a part of our survival, we can decide to stop resisting. Again, a learned survival tactic. We can trust ourselves as we become aligned with nature and embrace our natural intuition. We can become self-reliant as we trust our inner knowing. We flow with the universe's natural rhythms, living in harmony. This may not be easy to grasp at first, as perhaps we were raised with rigid doctrine or without any guidance. Each are extremes. For those of you raised with metaphysic concepts, science of mind principles are much easier to accept. Quote, our eyes are holden that we cannot see things that stare us in the face until the hour arrives when the mind is ripened. Then we behold and the time we saw them not is like a dream. Emerson, end quote. Emerson shares and adds to the spiritual truths that they are like stars whose light has not yet reached us. In my AA group, some of the women began asking sober men to be their chosen dad. I struggled to find one good enough. I began to lose hope. And I looked up, and right in front of me was my sober stepfather, Frank. He was a sweet man in his sobriety. He helped me whenever he could. He was a devout Catholic, yet never preached a word to me. He did not have financial freedom, yet he had enough to cook dinner for me every Thursday night, stabilized by his walker. Before that, he had nurtured my mom through her cancer. I woke up to his values, quiet yet steadfast. After his passing, I found several piles of small notes covered in very small, legible writings he must have studied each morning. For example, one of them reads, "It is a well-known fact that an enemy which has been recognized is an enemy that is half defeated." And a side note, such as drinking. The same reality pervades all teaching. The person may teach by doing and not otherwise. Let us take our bloating nothingness out of the path of divine circuits. Let us unlearn our wisdom of the world. Let us lie in divinity's power and learn the truth alone makes us rich and great, Emerson states. Many of Emerson's words told me I was on the right path and validated my search for truth with a capital T. Years later, I was led to Science of Mind by an AA friend. One of the greatest difficulties in the new order of thoughts is that we are likely to indulge in too much theory and too little practice. As a matter of fact, we only know as much as we can prove by actual demonstration. That which we cannot prove may or may not be true, but that which we can prove certainly must be true and is the truth. It's easy to talk about truth, It's easy to say all the right spiritual words, but in Science of Mind, we are invited into something deeper, not just knowing about the truth, but living it. We only truly know something when it shows up in our lives, when peace replaces anxiety, when love softens judgment, when faith carries us through uncertainty. That's demonstration. Principle is always working, but when it becomes real to us, when we apply it, when we choose it, when we trust it enough to live from it. And so today, we are not here just to learn something new. We're here to use it, to take one idea, one truth, one shift in awareness, and let it become real in how we think, how we speak, how we live, because that's where the power is. Not in the theory, but in the demonstration. When dealing with real life, with thoughts, emotions, and situations we face, we are dealing with causation. It's about recognizing that the principles we trust in must be consciously applied. We bring our thought processes into alignment with reality, choosing a steady, positive perspective rooted in the completeness of spirit. Ultimately, it's the application of what we know that transforms circumstances. While conditions may appear, they persist only if we give them space in our consciousness. By changing our consciousness, shifting our faith and understanding, we dissolve these conditions. Just as we strengthen our faith, we empower ourselves to transform any negative experience back toward harmony. When we encounter negative stories or challenging circumstances, it doesn't mean we ignore others or refuse to help. Rather, we hold our inner mental ground, refusing to accept the false idea that limitation or lack is the ultimate reality. We operate from a space of faith and expectancy of good, knowing that the truth we affirm shapes our reality. In that way, we remain undisturbed and empowered to uplift both ourselves and others. Imagine a gardener who walks into a field. At first, they see weeds and barren patches, but this gardener knows that what appears lacking is just a starting point. They refuse to believe the weeds have power. Instead, they hold faith in the seeds they plant. As they nurture the soil, tending their thoughts to expect abundance, life begins to flourish. They do not deny the weeds are there. They simply don't let them define the field. In time, the garden blossoms, not by denying reality, but by transforming it. The same is true for us. When we hold fast to truth and act on it, our lives bloom. So as I stand here with you, I encourage us all to become that gardener. Let's look at what we see first as weeds or barren patches and recognize the potential hidden there. What seemed lacking was simply a starting point. And perhaps in that shift of perspective, we find that truth we've been seeking right in front of us. May all your weeds be wildflowers. Namaste.